Down adversity to strength. I'm joined by Kate. After more than 2 decades working across corporate leadership, HR recruiting, and leadership development, Katie became fascinated by a question many people struggle with every day. When can some people have work behind when the day ends, while others carry it home in their thoughts, relationships, health, and well-being? Through her work, Katie has identified something she calls absorption. Have taken on the pressure, emotions, urgency, and dysfunction of the workplace until it becomes part of everyday life. Over time, many high-performing professionals find themselves stuck in a constant state of stress and activation without fully understanding why. In this episode, we explore the hidden impact of workplace culture burnout, stress, emotional overload, and the challenges of setting boundaries in a world that often rewards overwork. We also discuss how early life experiences can shape the way we respond to pressure, responsibility, and achievement. This is a thought provoking conversation about resilience, self awareness, workplace well being, and learning how to succeed without sacrificing your health, identity, and peace of mind. Katie, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for taking the time and coming on today.
Of course. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Take us back to the beginning. Where did your journey start?
If I really want to go way back, it would probably have started when I was a kid and people said, "What do you want to be when you grow up?"
Yeah.
Because that is something that I have learned over doing this work. I think that's where it starts for us. That's where we start to attach our identity to our job. Because we don't ask kids, how are you going to make money and sustain your living when you get older? We say, what do you want to be? And we start
Yes.
putting pressure on people at a very early age to figure out what is the occupation or the title or the one thing that I am supposed to be doing with my life, and we start asking them that when they're like 5 years old.
Yes. It's what is going to be your occupation? What are you going to do? And it's not like, and we get it like with like entrepreneurs that are really frustrated, like, Gary Vaynerchuk, people like that. It's like they don't teach you to be entrepreneurial in schools. They're going to teach you to work in employment, not what is your dreams. And if you come out with dreams, I want to do this, I want to do that. Yeah, okay. But what are you going to do as a job? And what you said about people like recognizing themselves through their job, I get it all the time as a therapist. And I'm like, who are you? And one of the first things they say, because it's actually a very difficult question to answer, who am I? They go, wow, I do this. As my occupation. No, that's what you do. And they often struggle to answer that question there as well. So when you were growing up, what was the occupation that you thought was going to be for you?
At one point, I wanted to be an American Gladiator. I don't know if you ever watched that watched that
Yeah,
show.
I remember the gladiators. Yeah.
Big muscly people. At one point, I wanted to be an American Gladiator. At one point, I wanted to be a judge just because I like telling people what to do, I think. Like, that was part of the problem for me, and I think a lot of people is like, I didn't know.
Yeah.
And we ask these really young kids, "What do you wanna be when you grow up?" And we're really only saying like, "Okay, what are the occupations or the jobs that you even know about? Teacher, doctor, lawyer,
Yeah.
American Gladiator," right? Like, those are the things that are going through their heads. They don't really even know about all the different things that you can do out there. And so for me, that really started it. I ended up going to college, getting my bachelor's in psychology just because I liked it and enjoyed it. And I was like, I'll figure out what I'm going to do with that later, which really meant I should have gone to graduate school and gotten my master's, but I didn't. And then I fell into a job in insurance, which is how most people who work in insurance fell into it because little kids don't say, I want to be in insurance when I grow up.
I did the same. Before I was a therapist, I worked in life insurance and I
Oh,
worked,
really?
yeah, I life insurance and I was working in like car insurance, that kind of thing. But life insurance, because that makes the most money. That's why
Yeah.
I did it. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I was in disability insurance and I ended up working for this company, this corporate company for 15 years. It's where I learned about corporate America and leadership and climbing the ladder. And, I ended up running a team there and I learned a lot. I had a really good experience, but I always felt like, I don't know if this is it. Like, I feel like maybe there's something else that I should be doing with this one life that I have, but I don't, it is.
How did you find your parents growing up when it come to what you want to do? Because that can have a big influence on people when you've got parents that are often like, yeah, you go for it. Whatever you do, we'll support you. Or no, when you grow up, you're going to be a lawyer or, whatever you want, it can make a big impact.
Yeah, that's a great question. My mom was a stay-at-home mom for most of my childhood and did some, like, retail work, and my dad worked at the post office, and that's how they took care of the family. I don't even really think they even talked about work a lot. There wasn't a lot of conversations around, "What are your strengths? What are your skills?" Like, what do I think you would be good at? These are the different occupations out there. So I think we really didn't talk about it much at all, which kinda makes sense of why I had no idea what to do.
So when you started your job, that was in insurance, yeah?
Yeah.
And it tends to be one that you can make money from. Was that your main goal at that time? Or were you thinking like, I can, climb the corporate ladder? Did you have like a plan or was it just this pays well, I'm going to take the job at the start?
I grew up as a child, like, like, not as a child, but when I was 14, I started working in a restaurant. So I spent 12 years or so before graduating from college working summers at a very busy, like, seasonal restaurant in a hot
Yeah.
kitchen, sweaty. And so by the time I graduated college, I was really just looking for a job that I didn't have to shower after at the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I was working nights and weekends, and I had all my friends, they had these corporate jobs, they got to wear cute outfits, they had their nights and weekends off, and they were going out, and I was working in, like, a hot, sweaty kitchen.
Yeah.
So, the appeal of insurance for me was, "Hey, great place to work, good benefits, good salary. I guess you work in an air-conditioned office, you can drink coffee, and you have nights and weekends off," and I really didn't even think about it much more than that.
Because I remember back in the day, I used to be like a doorman in nightclubs.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, yeah, I used to do that for like 10 years. And you get to a point where it's like, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. So I decided to like work in like a call center. And because I've got pretty good rapport skills there, which has helped me as a therapist there. And a lot of people would come to me and I'd help with whatever the issue was there. I thought, I think I'll probably be good in sales. So I then ended up applying for a sales job, kind of just was very sort of salesy in the interview and that kind of thing. Got a sales job, didn't know anything about sales, but thought I could do it. And I was like, right, who's the best person in this on the sales floor? Or that guy over there? Can you sit me next to him? So I started learning like that, and then I become good at it. But then you got the stresses that come with it. And eventually, I moved to a sales job that paid a lot of money. And you can have the hours, but I found that over time, the burnout rate was like massive for people, especially if they put extra hours in to hit those targets. They could then be off the following month. And there was a window in that. I don't know if you, with yourself, when you're working in like insurance, what was your turnover of staff like?
Yeah, so I was actually, working on the claim side of it.
Yeah.
So we didn't have the pressure of like a sales, like insurance sales. But what we did have is we spoke to disabled people a lot for their claims, which is great when you're approving their claims and you're giving them bad news, but that doesn't happen every time. So that was the hardest part.
Yeah.
And that was the part that led to the most burnout or just people saying like this isn't a fit for me. Like having to call somebody who's been recently diagnosed with cancer and tell them that their claim was denied because it's a pre-existing condition or like because there's some contractual limitation, like no one's doing anything wrong. This is the policy that you're covered under and this is a limitation under the policy. Even if you know that that's just how it works and it's my job to deliver that news to you. You're still telling somebody who just got diagnosed with cancer that you're not going to be providing them income that they thought they were going to get.
That must be really difficult to do a call like that.
It is difficult because you have empathy, like, you understand what's going on in their lives. I mean, I think that's what also makes you good at the job because you do have empathy and it's just your job to explain the process, tell them what they can do for their next steps, be kind, listen to them. But in reality, you are talking with people that are at a very low point, very challenging, difficult point in their lives. So that's certainly something that
Yeah. How long did you work in claims for?
15 years.
The whole time in 15 years?
Yeah, I mean, I started in the call center, so I was doing just like call center claims calls, and then I became a claims specialist and was actually managing the claims, and then I became a claims director and led a team of claims payers.
So I'd imagine that role of all the roles that you're doing in that job were quite high intensity. I would imagine there's a lot of stress in those jobs.
I think there is because of what we just talked about, but I
Yeah,
also think there's a level of separation. And I think this happens in a lot of jobs. You know, when you are managing claims and you have all of this empathy for people, you also learn there's also fraudulent people out there.
of
There's
course. Of course.
right? Like
Whenever there's an insurance claim.
there's also a lot of fraud out there, and there's a lot of people who are trying to get benefits that they're not actually entitled to. And so once you get burned a couple times or you advocate for somebody or you really believe somebody and then you get information that tells you that they're actually just being fraudulent, it's like it breaks your heart and it also allows you to kind of separate yourself from the people. I think that's why they say like, "Oh, you lose your soul in this job after a while," because you just don't know. You just can't really believe everybody, and that's not really your job. Your job's to gather the information and make
Yeah.
decisions on the contract.
Yeah. It's similar with like when you're doing an insurance quote with somebody, all you're doing is gathering the information and then here's the answer. And people get
Yes.
annoyed. That's too expensive. But it's like, well, I've just put your details in. This is what it's given me. Not a lot I can do. You try somewhere else. Yeah.
Yeah.
But how did you feel going through the years there as well? How did it have an effect on you working those hours and that nature of job?
The one side of it was really good. Like, it was a large corporate company, there were a lot of benefits, flexible
Yeah.
schedule, it was I got married, I started a family, I had young kids, I had 6 weeks of time off by the end of the year, like, there's a lot of perks and benefits that come from working in a large company like that, and it allowed me to live this life and have nights and weekends off, and if I wanted to take a day off and volunteer for my kids' field trip, I could do that, and, there just were a lot of things that were really great about it. I still think that's a great place to work. And yet, underneath the surface,
Yeah.
I just always felt unfulfilled. Like, maybe I should go back to school and be a teacher. Maybe I just was like always trying to brainstorm other things that I could be doing, which were going to give me the same benefits, but make me feel a little bit more fulfilled. And I never found it when I was there.
What what was changed for you? What was the you decide I'm gonna change this after all these years?
It was really during the COVID pandemic when everything started shifting for everyone in the world of work during COVID. And there was the great reshuffling and people started
Yeah.
moving companies. And all of a sudden it just became it seemed a lot more possible to move companies. The company I was at for 15 years, I really didn't want to leave. A lot of people worked there until their retirement for 40 years or so. It
Oh,
was very normal to work at this company and just stay there until retirement. And that's kind of what I always thought that I would do. But eventually I did accept that the job that I think that I'm supposed to be doing just doesn't exist here. So
yeah.
I don't really have a choice. Like, I have to look elsewhere. And it was during a time when COVID where it was a little bit easier to move around. And so I ended up finding a much smaller company that was hiring for recruiters who recruited for insurance companies. So I was like, this is how I can do it. They said they weren't requiring experience in recruiting. They just were looking for the right personality and the right skill set, and they would train the rest. And so I decided to make the move and I convinced them to hire me. And so I did finally switch to that company during COVID. Yeah, I mean, it was certainly scary, but I just knew that it was worth the risk. Like, I didn't know what was gonna happen or how it was going to work out, but I did know that I had spent 15 years, like, trying to make something work that just never felt right, and I am the type of person that will eventually say, "Screw it, let's just go for it,"
Yeah.
because you just aren't gonna know. So I was a little bit scared and nervous, but I was also excited about, the possibilities and what was to come.
How did you find the new job then, once you got started?
It was posted on LinkedIn, and it was a very, like, casual, informal post from the CEO, which I liked. I was like, "Oh, this isn't like a stuffy job posting." Like it didn't feel very corporate. And so that was part of the allure for me. It was like a company of 25 people. It was much more casual. It was much more like, "Hey, if this sounds interesting, email me," signed the CEO. Like that's a whole different vibe.
Yeah.
So it really felt like, and honestly, I'm I can do corporate, but I'm a little bit more direct, a little bit more say it like it is. I value realness and
Yeah.
authenticity. And so that actually seemed, really appealing to me.
And once you actually you actually got into the role, how did you find that?
At first, it was amazing. So I really liked my coworkers. I liked my boss, but my boss really liked me. Like I said, I was recruiting. I had a placement within the first couple weeks, which is unusual. Like I just did really well at the job right away because it was talking to people about work. I had become an executive coach and a leadership coach. So that was something that I did before I left the large insurance company as I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And so I was able to use my coaching skills. I was always interested in the people side of the business, and because of my own journey, why certain people choose careers and what motivates people and like that whole side of work. And so I got to use those skills and talk to people every day about their jobs and what they like and this new opportunity and what they needed for money. And it was really just a good fit for me, like the actual work. Plus this culture of like work hard, play hard, and we don't take things too seriously here. And my boss was like, "Where have you been? This has been your home all along. There's such a good culture fit here. I'm going to fast track you. You're going to make so much money here." Like, really? I just was like, wow, I did it. Like, this is my home. This is the place I've been looking for.
So did you feel fulfilled out of that particular time?
I did. I felt happy. I felt proud of myself for doing it. I felt in better alignment with the work that I was doing. Like, I remember thinking like, "I can't believe I get to do this for work. Like, I'm so lucky."
When did things start changing for you there?
About 4 months into the job, we went to a work conference. So we stayed at a hotel in Boston for a few days. There was like 3 or 4 members of us of the team, and my boss all of a sudden started acting very different. So this person who had been really telling me that I was amazing and he loved me and he was so happy I was there, now at this conference didn't really seem to want to talk to me, was avoiding me. I wanted to go to a meeting with him and he said, "When are you going to get off my teat and go network?" Like all of a sudden the
Yeah.
energy really changed, and I was like, I don't it was very confusing. Like, what is happening? What is wrong with this person? Like, I don't know what this is, but, like, things are different.
Did you like confront him and ask him, or did you speak to anyone else that was there and say what was going on?
I worked with another person, who had worked with him for longer, so she and I were talking a lot about, like, what was happening because he was doing similar things to her. It ended up, coming out that he was an alcoholic and he had actually fallen off the wagon during that work trip. So, as he showed up for client meetings, like, he was talking with his hand over his mouth,
All
and I
right,
was like
yeah.
doing, but he was, like, covering his mouth, and he wasn't dressed as nicely as he usually was, and so there was a lot of avoiding us to go up to his room and drink, but I didn't know that. I didn't know that at the time, but by the end of the week, that had
And how did that affect the job that you've just started? Been there 4 months. How did that change for you then after that?
When we got home from the conference, the CEO was told about it, and he ended up reaching out to me, and that's when they told me that he was an alcoholic and he had fallen off the wagon, and at that point, I was like, "Look, I'm not a manager here. I'm not in charge. I'm not a leader. I have been here for 4 months. This is not my problem to
Yeah.
fix. Like, I am glad you know about it. I trust you to handle it now, and, like, I just wanna go back to work and do my job, and, like, here you go. You can deal with this now." That's what I thought was gonna happen.
What actually did happen?
It didn't really get better. There wasn't so much talk about his drinking anymore. That seemed to go away. What happened was the way he treated me continued to escalate with a little bit of, like, push and pull. The best way I can describe it is like favoritism, like, it presented as favoritism. So, all of those comments he made, really the love bombing that was happening in the beginning, just kind of continued. So we had a group like chat that we would all talk on, this our small team, and then that changed to him just like one-on-one messaging me. And then that changed to messaging me 5 times a day, and then 10 times a day, and then stopping by my desk multiple times a day, and then texting me at night and on the weekends. Like this favoritism and really this just unwanted attention
Yeah.
that got just heavier and heavier over time.
What did you do about that? Because it's obviously something that's escalating and it doesn't look like it's going to stop at all. So what did you do with that?
I said, "I can handle this. I can handle this." He's a guy. They're not that hard. Like, I can do like, I can figure this out. What I didn't realize I was doing at the time was trying to manage his emotions and his reactions to things. So, like, me and my coworker were going to we're gonna go have dinner on the weekend, but we knew if he found out about it, that
You
he would
go,
be upset with us.
really?
Yes, and he would kinda, like, throw a fit, throw, like, a little mini tantrum because he did that, and so I would be like, "Oh, I can handle this. We'll just say this, like, we'll just say that I was going out to dinner with my husband, and you and your husband happened to drive by and see our car, and so then you stopped in, and we ended up having dinner, and that's why he wasn't invited." Like, now when I look back, I'm like, "Oh my god, that's, like,
Yeah.
great to do that." But at the time, I was like, "This is how I will manage this. I will just make sure that I'm really thinking about how this is going to play out,
How long were you trying to manage it for?
probably for, like, another 5 months."
A long time. And what happened at the end of the 5 months then?
Over that 5 months, my body really started to have, like, stronger and stronger reactions to it.
Yeah.
So as I continued to say, like, "I've got this," what I was I really just was not honoring the signals that my body was
Yeah.
telling me. And so, I had more anxiety, I had a hard time sleeping, I had a upset stomach all the time. I was really just being super hypervigilant.
Yeah, of course.
And then my other coworker, she ended up going on vacation, and while she was gone, it just got to be, like, so intense. Like, there were just, like, little things would happen, like, we would have a team meeting, and he would say, like, "Oh, Katie, how was your weekend?" And I would be like, "Good." And he'd be like, "Okay, well, moving on." And I'd be like, "Well, there's 3 other people in this meeting. You didn't ask them how their weekend was." Like, everybody sees that, everybody knows this, but it's like,
Yeah.
how do you report that? Like, it was all of these little things, which to anyone else could just be an oversight, but there were so many of
So many.
them that just added up over time, and my body just knew that, like, this is not right. And so eventually with that trip, when she came back, I ended up having to take a day off, like, just to get away because I was really feeling, like, so, so suffocated by this behavior because remember, I was gonna make so much money there.
Yeah.
I had just left my job of 15 years.
Yeah.
I'm the breadwinner in this family. I need this job. Like, and I'm good at it and I like it. Like, I need this to work. So, all of this hypervigilance to try to just control the outcome of this and make it be okay, because I was just not willing to accept that any of this was happening and it was not okay, really culminated with this vacation and me being like, I am suffocated. This is making me feel like I am in a relationship with him, like a
Yeah.
non-consensual
Yeah.
relationship with my male boss. And I am happily married and have my own family. Like, I don't know how I got here, but I don't have this. I thought I had this under control and I
Yeah.
don't.
The moment you realised I haven't got control of this, what did you do then when you realised I can't do this now? This isn't how I thought it was gonna be.
It ended up getting reported to the CEO,
Yeah.
who called me, and I was out on a walk. I was on my day off, I was out on a walk trying to calm myself down, and there he was, like, everything in this situation was just so in my face all the time. I never got a break, I could never recover. Even when I specifically took a day off to get away, here I was in the middle of the day explaining to the CEO what was happening, and I literally just said to him, like, "I'm not his girlfriend." Like, I don't know how else to say this, but, like, I am not his girlfriend, and this is not okay. I don't know what to call it. I don't know what this is. I just know that it's not okay.
Yeah. What did the CEO say when you told him everything?
I mean, not much at the time, and I understand that, like, he's trying to gather information and kind of figure out what was going on. My boss had worked for him for 7 years, I had worked for him for 9 months. The boss was what you would call a rainmaker in sales, he brought in a lot of money to that company. I was a brand new associate. Like, now I think about it from that perspective, from the employment perspective. So, I didn't really say much at the time, but the next day when I went into work, I did have a meeting with him, and in that meeting, he said to me, "Do you still wanna work here?" And I was like, "Of course I wanna work here, like, what do you mean?" And he said, "Because if you don't, like, that's okay, and we'll help you transition out, and we'll pay you." And I just realized that, like, oh, they just want to get rid of me. Like, they want to get rid of me. And I later found out that I was not the first female employee who had complained of this type of behavior. And that's usually what they would do is they would get them to leave either by firing them or by them quitting. They'd pay them a couple $1,000s, have them sign a release
Non-disclosure,
and
yeah.
go on.
So what happened when you said, "No, you wanna stay here?"
My body freaked out.
Yeah, fight or flight.
Yeah, like
It's
whatever.
true.
Yeah, and that was really the thing, like, at that point on, it really became less about what the CEO said or what his reaction was, and it became more about what was happening inside my
Yeah,
body. Because the way that it was handled, I felt very dismissed and I felt very minimized, and I now know I was looking to this system to support me and take care of me and do the right thing, and it felt like they were not doing that.
yeah.
And in that moment, my body made the connection to an experience I had 20 years earlier where I was sexually assaulted by a coworker, and I went to the police, and the police dismissed me and minimized me and sent me away without even taking a statement from me.
I can even do that.
I mean, they shouldn't, but they did. And so the institutional betrayal of that, like, I was 22 years old and I had just been assaulted, and so I was like, "So you go tell the police, that's the right thing to do, like, if you don't do it, then this can happen to somebody else." All of these things that women
Yeah.
are told about reporting it, like, "You need to report it," and so I was like, "I don't know what's gonna happen, but that's what I'm gonna do here." And it was obviously very traumatizing. It was something that I had been carrying inside of me for 20 years. You know, I knew it was in there, obviously, but I didn't really think about it a lot. I really didn't know that it was affecting me in current
Oh,
day.
massively. Yeah, yes. Trauma. Yeah.
But here I was sitting in this conference room, feeling this institutional betrayal, feeling minimized, feeling suffocated by a male authority figure. And my body really just made the connection between those two events. Holy shit,
Yeah.
this is happening again. I started to have a major increase in energy. I started
Anxiety.
like really just like physically shaking, just like a very physical reaction to the point where I had to get up, just leave, go to the bathroom. I laid on the dirty bathroom floor for 10 minutes and just cried as hard as I could. Like the energy just like came forcing out of me. And then I ended up pulling myself off the floor, leaving for the day. And I remember feeling like, oh my God, what was that? Like, what just happened to me? And why do I feel so like physically damaged? Like, I felt like I had a gaping wound inside my chest.
So what happened after that then? What was the next thing that happened? Because obviously you said, "I want to work here." Then you found out that this has happened before. How many times? Who knows? And then your body's reaction from a past trauma. So what was the next thing for you?
So I ended up taking the next day off and just like laid outside in the sun and tried to breathe. I did have another meeting with the CEO when I came back to work and explained that there was some past trauma that was coming up for me there. And he said, "I did think your reaction was out of proportion to what was happening."
Right.
But I did feel like I needed to kind of explain what was happening, and we basically got to the point where the my boss was demoted. He wasn't we weren't directly reporting to him anymore. My coworker took over, she was the new boss. The other guy still worked there. He wasn't allowed to come over to my desk. They set some parameters around, like, his interactions with me, and so a lot of that stopped, but we did still work together in the same office every day.
How did you find out with the changes being made? Because I'm guessing it's still on your mind that that person's somewhere in the building and you might see him at times.
I felt a lot of pressure to I can feel myself getting emotional right now because I don't know if
Brings it
anyone's
up.
asked me that question. I felt a lot of pressure to just keep performing, keep being professional,
Focused.
focused, keep doing my job while also knowing that this, like, abuser
Yeah.
was sitting around the corner, and so, like, he wasn't allowed to come over to my desk anymore, and then all of a sudden he started going to this other person's desk who was in my eye line, and he would sit there, and, like, I would have to pull my chair in, like, really far so that, like, he wouldn't be in my peripheral vision, like, it didn't stop.
Yeah. It's just from a
It's
distance.
from a distance.
So,
It stopped in the eyes of other people, but it he would check my LinkedIn profile, so I would get notifications, "So and so checked your profile," like, it didn't stop. There continued to be, like,
it's
messages.
just harassment. It's harassment. So what how long did that go on for then?
I worked there for another 9 months. Those 9 months were the worst 9 months of my life
They were how come they were so bad? Bearing in mind he's
because
kind of like got an employment restraining order.
yeah, I mean, it was just so bad because I was still there, I was still around him, everybody else was moving on. At one point, I ended up going out to breakfast with the CEO, and he told me that my vibe was negative and that if I didn't change that, I wasn't going to be successful there.
Can't think why your
So
vibe might not have been amazing at the time.
I mean, sorry that I've been completely traumatized by your workplace and my vibe is off. Like, I'm still coming in, I'm still doing my job. I'm not saying anything like, I'm being professional. Like, I don't get paid to laugh at his jokes. Like,
No.
the and so that comment also just, like, hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, again, you don't actually really care about me. Like, you would really like me to be I'm the problem.
Oh,
I became
that's
the
yeah, yeah. Problem. He wasn't a solution.
yeah.
And it looked like, let's try and get you on the road to being able to fire you. Your vibe's not great. You're not going to last here. That translates to we're going to try and show you the door.
Yes. And so
Yeah.
then my goal just became like, don't give him a reason to fire you. Don't give him a reason to fire you. And so I just showed up every day. I smiled. I did this. I just tried to act as normal as I could and not give him a reason to fire me. But my insides were still screaming.
Oh, yeah. That's exhausting to be able to do that. All you want to do is turn up. Look, most of us want to turn up to do our job, do the hours, and go home, especially in that environment. But to have to like motivate yourself, get the right mindset in, and then navigate where you're going to work and how you're going to get through the day with people watching you, it's not sustainable. I mean, how long did you put up with having to work in that set of circumstances?
So the boss ended up actually quitting about maybe a month or 2 before I left. He ended up quitting. They had to pay him a lot of money because he was a partner there, and he ended
Okay,
up leaving. And I think part of that was just because, when I decided I'm not gonna give them a reason to fire me, it was essentially sort of gray rocking him. Like, I'm not gonna be rude, I'm not gonna retaliate against you, but I'm not giving you anything. I'm not giving you any of my emotions, any of my attention. I'm not laughing at your jokes. And that really was very, very difficult for him. And he ended up leaving. After that, the CEO did apologize to the team for what had transpired. And so for a second, I thought, like, okay, maybe this is gonna be okay. Like, this is a fresh start, and we did it, and he's gone, and we've made it through it, and we're still here, and I think we can see what happens now. And then pretty quickly after that, something else happened completely unrelated to all of this situation, but I just knew, like, it's not gonna work. Like, I'm never gonna be successful here. They see me
yeah.
differently now,
Yeah.
and
You're
I
tarnished.
yes, I
Yeah.
had become tarnished, and I had also lost myself in the process.
Yeah, of
And so I
course.
knew I eventually just said, realized I needed to leave to get myself.
And what was the next part for you then?
I just immediately started looking for a new role, and I found one very quickly actually as an HR consultant. So I never worked in HR before, but I had experience managing risk from working in the insurance company. I was a coach and now I had done recruiting. And this was an even smaller company looking for someone with those skill sets. And so I reached out to them and essentially just convinced them to hire me. And within a week, I had not had an offer. And I still didn't even know if I should take it. Like, still didn't even know if I should take it. This is something that I've learned about what happens to people when they work in a toxic environment like this
Yeah.
because you get so broken that you can't even trust your own judgment. The trauma and the betrayal and the blind side that happens when when you get hit with something like this that you didn't see coming, it makes it very difficult to trust your own judgment. And so it can be very hard to leave that situation and go somewhere completely new and unknown. That's also going to take a lot of your energy.
Yeah, yeah. You step into the unknown after traumatic experiences, so that does take a lot there as well. So how did you manage to overcome that and actually start the new role?
I just did. I just knew that I
Just
had to
had to do it.
leave,
Pay
I
the bills.
reached a point where we negotiated on salary. I remember calling my friend and saying, like, "Should I do this? Is this right?" And she was like, "Katie, get out of there.
Yeah,
Like, get out of there." And my husband was like, "Get out of there." And
yeah.
everyone had been telling me to get out of there forever. And so I finally just did it, and
How did you feel once you're out of there? Were you surprised? You look back and you think, "Why did I stay so long?"
I'm not surprised because I understand where I was and what was going on. I know now and then why it was difficult for me to leave.
Yeah,
What surprised me more was how hard it was going to be to start a new job when I hadn't healed from that
yeah,
experience yet. And I think this is something a lot of people deal with too. Like when we start new jobs, everybody thinks that you're starting with like excitement and possibility and this like new chapter. But there are a lot of people that start jobs after a traumatic workplace
yeah,
experience.
yeah, yeah. And it comes out. I mean, you could be on your best behavior in the first week and everything. But then it just creeps up on you because it's trauma. Trauma never goes away. So it's always going to be there. Have you dealt with it or is it still unresolved? So, when I worked in one of the particular places, very Wolf of Wall Street, there was people like getting drunk on their lunch break and things like that. So many people had lots going on and they, their unresolved issues are still there. Then they're taking time off, they're getting signed off, and then they're coming back. And it's exhausting there as well. So yeah, we're not that lucky to be able to start a new job and all our issues are gone. They just carry on there. So it's about how we deal with them. With yourself, how did you manage to deal with the traumas that you'd been through?
I spent probably the first 6 months at my new job, like, just again trying to hold it together and do the best I could. I didn't really know that there was going to be such a grieving process. Like, I really think that I was grieving for a long time and not even just the job, but the life that I expected to have. I
Yeah.
remember I was gonna make so much money there and I was good at it and there were all these perks and I loved my coworkers and, like, there were so many good things about it that I didn't have anymore. And my new company, I worked there for 3 years. They were a great company, much more like a healthier, like, solid company, but they don't have a lot of the perks. It wasn't that much of, like, a sales job. I took a cut in pay. I took a cut in paid time off. Like, I didn't have this extravagant traveling and, like, all of these other things, and but I was angry about that. Like, I only left that job because I was forced to, not because I
Forced to.
wanted to. And now here I am, like, I can't let them know that I'm not really that happy to be here, and I don't even really have the capacity to learn all of this new stuff, and I don't even like the way that they do things here, but I can't let them know, like, it's just so
Yeah.
much of, like, so much energy, like you said, like, trying to be someone you're not.
I mean, we've all taken jobs that we've taken the jobs and we turn up for the first day and we know instantly, how do I get out of this? This job's not for me. It's just like, why did I say yes to this job? Or I had to do it because there's nothing else. Yeah. With yourself, did you know straight away that it's not a job that you really wanted or it wasn't the right fit?
I think I really was having, like, a flight trauma response, you know? I think that I was just like, "I gotta get out of here. Like, this doesn't feel safe either, and I gotta get out of here." But I was also a recruiter, and so I know, like, job hoppiness or not staying at a job for a long
Yeah.
time hurts you,
Yeah.
and I'd been at this company for 15 years. I was at this company for a year and a half. If I took this job and left after 3 months, even a year and a half,
Yeah.
it wasn't gonna look good. And it might make it even harder for me to get another job, and again, where am I gonna go? Like, I've just entered these new industries. I don't have a lot to stand on over here. I'm lucky to have this job, and yet my body is still screaming. Like, feedback sessions with my new boss really created these physical responses with me, like sitting in a conference room with the male CEO at my new company created these physical responses in my body, but I couldn't let them know. I couldn't tell them what had happened because I didn't know how they were going to perceive that. Were they going to think that I was emotional or unstable, or I didn't know.
What did you do to change it? Because it's not sustainable. You can't carry on like that. It's impossible.
I did 3 things, which really allowed me to take my power back and take my life back. One is I did dive into this job as an HR consultant, and I really learned about HR, human resources, and employment law through my own experience. So everything that I learned, everything that I studied, meeting with employment lawyers, learning about sexual harassment, I really took an interest of, like, trying to figure out, like, "Okay, how does this actually work? How did my experience happen? Like, what could I have done differently? What conversations were they having behind closed doors?"
Yeah.
I really started learning about that. I eventually started giving sexual harassment trainings to local companies, so felt like that was very full circle for me. I also started taking classes on narcissistic abuse. So I learned about narcissism, abuse, manipulation tactics. So while I was learning about those and studying employment systems, I really started studying, okay, well, how does this type of stuff show up in the workplace? Because there is a ton of content out there on romantic narcissistic relationships. There is not a ton on when your boss is a narcissist or, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you see it because especially in sales, you tend to get very flawed people, and especially so, yourself when you work for a good boss and a bad boss. And I've seen very narcissistic bosses, and people just like, I don't want to work for him. I don't want to work for him. I want to work for that guy. But if you're stuck, then your life can be made hell. And I've seen it looking back over the years, especially if you're going back to like the 90s and, when things might be a lot different there as well. Did you find yourself growing into this change?
Yes, because the third thing that I did is I enrolled in a somatic trauma-informed coaching certification,
Yeah.
and I learned about trauma, I learned about the nervous system, and I
Yeah.
studied my experience through that lens, and that really helped me understand what had happened 20 years prior and what was happening in this workplace and all of these physical symptoms that I was having and how it really felt like my body was attacking me.
Yeah, of course.
But in reality, it was doing exactly what it was designed to do and doing this to save me, and I just wasn't listening. I didn't know how to listen. But as I started to learning about trauma, like, that's what that was. Like, there's a science behind this. This isn't like you're just a weak person or
No.
emotion like there's actually, like, a science behind it, and so understanding how the human body and brain and nervous system operates really allowed me to release a lot of that shame. It allowed me to have a lot of compassion for myself, for what I had been through, but also other people and what they go through and kind of how trauma shows up for us in our lives, and so that was really what helped me be able to start looking forward instead of continuing to look backward.
You must have been surprised of how much you discovered what you'd been through.
Yeah, it was very validating. It was very
Yeah.
like, even and, like, that's what he was doing, like, that was actually love bombing, like, he
Yeah.
actually didn't
Yeah.
it wasn't really about, like, "Oh, we're so happy to have you," like, the over the top compliments at the beginning,
Yeah.
that was actually a manipulation tactic, like, that was
Yeah.
intentional. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I mean, one of the areas I really specialize in is clients that's been in narcissistic relationships. And once you know what to look for, it's the same story. The love bombing, the gaslighting, then moving the goalposts, and then the poor victim chasing after what they were trying to get at the beginning, never going to get it. And it's so predictable there as well. And so what happened to you then? That this become what you did. That was your job, and you go into companies now and you give talks?
So, when I was working as an HR consultant, I was doing a lot of leadership training, and so I
Yeah.
did start to bring some of this knowledge and some trauma-informed leadership into companies. But more than that, I started building a business of my own
Yeah.
outside of that job because I just knew everything that I had gone through and everything that I had learned, and as I learned to regulate my nervous system and have self-compassion and accept what had happened and heal, like, I learned how to actually heal from this experience, and I didn't know that earlier. Like, everything that when I was going through it, everyone just kept saying, like, "Quit your job, go to therapy." Like, those were the only options.
Yeah.
And so now I really take those 3 parts, everything that I have learned, and I help people who are specifically struggling at work. Because, yes, I do think it's important to work with leaders and companies, but, like, they also have got that covered. Like, there's lots of people working
Yeah.
for them, like, they have the money, they have the resources, it's the employees that don't. Things get turned around on us. We don't have the money to get a lawyer necessarily, or we don't want to fight it in court. We just want to go to our job and do our job and go home at the end of the
Yeah.
day. And there's just really nobody that there was nobody there for me to help put that in words, explain to me the science and the psychology of everything that was happening inside my body, explain the workplace systems and how it actually works. And then also, like you said, narcissists are, it's pretty easy to see. Like, once you know what to look for, they're actually
Standard.
not, it's not
No, they're very predictable.
they're
Yeah.
very predictable. They think they're so smart, but it's only when you don't know what to look for. And so
Yeah.
I think that's an important part of it too, is like we need to be talking about this more about these signs and what happens specifically in the workplace because as I saw, it can be very damaging. It can destabilize you. It can be very traumatizing to people. So
Yeah.
now I feel like finally after all these years of like what are you supposed to do when you grow up? Like, this is
Yeah.
it. I know for sure that I am here. This experience got me here, and I'm thankful.
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing. And I've spoke to my own experiences. You end up becoming a therapist, and with a lot of the guests that I've had, they've gone through some traumatic experience, and then they've come out the other side and become an advocate or a therapist or whatever it might be, similar to yourself. And then suddenly they found their purpose. You know, if they want to be there to help other people weren't there to help them as well. I mean, I can only imagine the amount of people that would have come up to you saying, I've been through what you've been through, or thanking you for giving like a presentation or helping them because you understand them and they've been through it and they didn't think that there was anyone else out there with a voice.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very lonely place to be because people like to say, like, "It's just work." Like, "Don't care so much. Set better boundaries. Just get a new job." It's people are very quick to just like, "It's not that big of a deal. It's not worth it.
I
Just go
think
get another job." But
I think a lot of it is people just don't want to deal with it. They don't know how to deal with it, so they try and play it down. And it's just a job. Well, you spend like a third of your day at work, five days a week there as well. So that's a big percentage there. And if you're not, and what there's a book I read, really like it, the happiness hypothesis, and it tells you about being fulfilled in life. And I think number one is the relationship we're in. I think as important. And number two is the job that we, yeah, no, number two is the job that we do. I think number three is the location that we live in. So the job that we do is so important. So, and if you're, yourself, if you're in a job where it's going the way that it did for you, I would guarantee it would affect every aspect of your life outside. Your relationship with your husband, it comes tense there because you're not in a good mood. You're stressed about work. You're worrying the kids want to spend time with you, but you're focused and worried about work. So it has such an impact.
the kids is the hardest part for me. Like, again, I do have compassion for myself, or I know that girl was doing the best that she could,
Yeah.
but I lost time with my kids.
Oh
Like,
yeah, yeah. And
you don't get it, you don't get that back.
and with kids, it's the easiest ones to take it out on. And you're like, oh
Yeah.
god, something's
Or
not right.
you're there and your
Yeah.
physical body is there, but your head is not.
And what's the future looking like for you with everything that you're doing at the moment?
I'm going full speed ahead with this. So I left my HR job a few months back, and I really believe this is what I'm supposed to be doing now is going out and finding the people that need this type of support. Because it's not everyone. Like we were talking about burnout earlier,
Yeah.
just like if you just are in the wrong career and you just are looking for a new job or you're burnt out, like you love your job, but you're really just depleted at the end of the day, like that's what I think probably for you as a therapist, like you have to give so much, you're probably
Yeah.
just depleted at
Yeah.
the
Oh,
end of the
yeah.
day. I think that can lead to burnout. That's different than when I think of this in my experience and the clients that I work with, it's really more about absorption.
Yeah.
So, all of the stress, the urgency, the dysfunction, the abuse, the manipulation, all of that that happens around you at a workplace, I was really absorbing that and bringing it into my body, and it was
Yeah.
really tied to how I felt about work and the pressure to, take care of my family and my life's fulfillment and, like, all of these things. It was really about all of this other stuff and not necessarily about this really what's a transactional agreement.
Yeah.
I do these things, you pay me, that's work.
Yeah.
But so many of us are bringing so much more to the table that we're expecting to get out of work. We're expecting to get out of these systems and our bosses. And when we don't get it, we absorb it and we take it personal and we make it mean something about us. And then
Yeah.
that makes us question. And then, we can kind of spiral off for that. So, my goal now is to just help people have a healthy relationship with work, but absorb less and
Yeah.
recover more. Like, I was not recovering.
No.
We need to be recovering.
We have to listen to our bodies. And one of the first things with my clients is asking them, "Do you listen to your body?" No, I ignore it and just carry on regardless. It's the worst thing you can do. Your body's telling you something. There's a reason
Yeah.
for it. They're doing like 3 or 4 people's jobs, so they take time off work. They're burnt out. They get some energy back. They go back to work, and even within the same day, they're signed off work again because they've carried on from where they've left off. Nothing's changed. And obviously, if the circumstances is not a great atmosphere or environment, that's only going to build up on them. And you just become so overwhelmed. I know that you get to a point where somebody is going to shut down and that's it. Your body's switched off and can't even get out of bed to go to work there because your body's gone, we're not doing anything until you deal with this. So to listen to your story and all the support and advice you can give it, I think makes a massive difference to a lot of people.
Yeah, thank you. It's not just about do you leave this job or do you stay? Like, what's the next job? How are you gonna make money? Like, all of those logistics. It's more about, like, how is work living in your body? How are you carrying the emotional weight of work? What are you absorbing around you? And that's all nervous system work.
And do you find that clients are really shocked at just how stressed and anxious they are with everything that's gone on? They didn't realize how badly they were in a place with everything they've been through until they've actually started the work with you.
I think most of my clients know how bad they're feeling because that's what makes them come to me. What I think they're the most surprised about is how quickly they find relief when they learn to start paying attention to their body, reading those signals. Like you can feel better quickly.
No, it's great. I love what you do. It's been fantastic talking with you. I think what you've been through and how you overcome it is amazing. There's so much strength there. To stay in the role that you did for so long against so many odds there is amazing strength there. And to go on to do what you do is brilliant. And I wish you all the best for that. Katie, it's been great. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you so much. It was great chatting with you.
Thank you.